Hi everyone, this is the supplemental video for our first series of top-down triangle shawls. Please watch this intro. I'm going to explain the differences of the versions, and then you can find the timestamp in the description box for which version you would like to make. I'm showing you 3 here, but there's actually 4, and I'm actually only going to walk you through 2 of them. So all of our top-down shawls begin with a garter tab cast on. So but the garter tab cast on is done differently than the other versions you'll see on YouTube, and that's so we can make the different versions. So first I'm going to explain these 3 versions. So the first version we have is the closed. I call this closed version. And the differences in the versions all have to do with your increases. So for the closed version, you can see, see here. Should I come down a little bit? No, come down a little bit. Okay, so here's our closed version. So you can see our garter tabs is right here. Our garter tab is right around here. And here's our center spine that you see I've taken all the way down. So our garter tab is somewhere right here. Okay, really can't tell where it is, but it's right around our center spine. So the increases used here are the make one lefts and rights and the make one lefts and rights around the spine, and that makes them close. You could also, if you wanted to, if you have a different closed, like if you wanted to work these in a yarn over and then just work the yarn over through the back loop when you come to, there are different ways to do closed yarn over. So you can of course replace it with any one you like, but what I'm also going to show you, and these are special things that I have picked up along the way that kind of give my work a more polished look. And they're very easy things to put in your, you can easily make this change to any pattern you're doing. So what I'm going to show you to do is to make this chain along the center of your shawls. Now, if you see this right here, this is where we started our bind off. So we have this little knot thing. And that's normally how this edge looks. It doesn't look very pretty. It's got a bunch of bumps and, knots on it. It doesn't look real pretty. But with how I've even done the garter tab, it's continuous. You can't even see that right here is the start of our garter tab. It's this loop right here. But once you block that, you're not even going to see it. And if you wanted to, you could probably manipulate that a little bit, because see, it's just held with this string here. So you could probably manipulate that. I just pull it through and block it and nobody notices. But if you wanted to continue to find a way to fix that. But you can't tell where it is. Anyway. This is closed. Remember, make one rights and make one's lefts. Then we have open, which is made all with yarn overs. So we have yarn overs at the arm, what I call the arm. It's the sides of your shawl, the arm, and yarn overs down the spine. And see, we still have a clear spine. It's right from going right up to the top. But the way we make this garter tab is a little bit different because we end up with eyelets right here. So the first part is the garter tab is going to give you a difference between this and this. So depending if you want closed arms, open arms, okay? So that's the two garter tab cast-ons I'm going to show you today is how to do those. Now when you're going to do this is going to be different from how you do this, but this part is when you're actually in the pattern doing your increases. So you can have this, like here is a hybrid. You can have open arms on the top and a closed spine, which is what I do for the Hillary. Let's see, this I do Ruth, this I do Hillary. I pretty much do this one the most because I mess up less if I have a yarn over to work. But you could also flip this if you wanted to start with the closed garter tab and then work an open spine. That could be you could reverse this, have the open spine, have the closed arms. But they all have this gorgeous chain along the top that I just think makes the top of your shawl look so much better. I mean, look how beautiful that is. And that's the whole length of your shawl, the whole top edge. And then the bind off I'm going to show you is this beautiful, I think it's the Russian bind off. It's a knit two together. One thing I did want to say is I'm going to make another video later, probably May or June, where I'm going to talk about shawl design and I'm going to give you some more pointers. But I wanted to tell you that while you're working any of these top-down patterns that we have, oh my gosh, Hillary, Michelle, oh my gosh, I'm already working on the other ones, so I'm forgetting the names. Hillary, Michelle, Carrie, and Ruth, right? You can use any of these that you want on them. They will all work, whichever you prefer. And also, when you come down to here, if you're nervous working with your scale and you're not sure if you have enough for a third row, we've already determined that we can make it with 2 garter ridges. So if you have to drop off that third, because we only do 2 ridges for Ruth, if you want to drop off to just 2, you can do that if you're too nervous to do a third with your bind off. But if you have your scale and it's working, I really think you should try, because I think you'll be surprised and you'll be really excited that you win at Yard Chicken. Okay, so let me see if I have anything else to tell you here. Yeah, so I'm only going to show you these two, the closed and the open, because this is just the same as this, and then this part is the same as this. So while I'm doing these, while I'm doing both, I'll make some note about what to do if you want to do. So here's how I want you to use this supplemental video. Figure out which top you want. Do you want this closed top? Do you want this open top? Because that's what I'm going to show you. And then once we get in, I will show you on both ways how to change the spine to the other spine. So closed, open, closed, open. Pick which one you want, okay? We're starting with the closed version. I'm using size 9, 5.5 millimeter needles with a worsted weight. And that's just so you guys can see what I'm doing. So we're going to start with a slip knot. You can start with any cast on you want because we're doing a garter tab cast on right now, but you still need to cast on 3 stitches. I use this modified backwards loop cast on because it's the easiest I've found that looks the best if you want to use a long tail cast on or whatever cast on you want, whatever. I'm going to link to the video that I learned this from, and I will give you a very short explanation, and if you want to use this you can watch that video and then come back. So you come from underneath and just swoosh. So the yarn is coming from your needle over your finger, under your finger, and then over the top of the yarn before, and then you're just going to plop it on the needle, cinch tight. And we're going to do 3 of those because this garter, this slip knot does not count. I use the slip knot to anchor this cast on because I don't want any of them falling off because they can fall off. So I always start with a cast on or with a slip knot that I do not count and that I drop at the end. So we're doing a garter tab cast on. We cast on 3 and then row 1 is knit 3. So we are going to knit 3, knit 1, knit 2, knit 3, and then just pull your needle out of that and leave it alone. Now my secret for the very nice edge here starts on row 2 of the garter tab cast on, which is where we are right now. We're going to slip the first stitch. Now when I talk to you about slipping the first stitch, you're going to slip how you find it. And what I mean by this is where we are right now, the yarn is in front. So we're going to slip with the yarn in front, okay? And slip it purlwise, just slip it in, yarn in front. Now, because our next stitch is a knit stitch, we're going to move the yarn to the back and knit the next 2. Row 3. Knit all 3. Knit 4, and we're on an even numbered row again, so we're going to slip with the yarn in front, move the yarn to the back, knit 2. And row 5, knit 3. And row 6, our last even one, we're going to slip yarn in front, move your yarn to the back, and knit the next 3. Okay, so what you can see here now is your regular edges with the bumps and the knots and not so pretty, but if we turn, we got a chain edge and that's very pretty. Okay, so this is where we're going to work the closed. We're working the closed version, so closed. And I want you to take a look at these front ones right here, these that come right in the front, these vertical. This one's got a vertical, they've got vertical. But if you take that vertical and look at the very top, come up a little bit. So here's the vertical, right? See the vertical? But at the very top, and I don't mean this one, I mean this one at the very top that is sitting on top of that vertical, that is the stitch we want to work into. So I'm going to come over here to this vertical and this one behind it, and then right on top there's this very tight stitch. It's very, very tight. And I got my glasses on and I can't see it, but anyway, You're going to want to work into that top of that one, okay? And it doesn't matter that it's tight. It really, I promise you, does not matter. You just need to get as much of that. When you get it up and on your needle, just do this. Make sure it can move, and you're going to be fine. So let's come to the second one. Here's our second. Up and down, and right into the top. Just make sure you don't split it. That's all you got to make sure. Make sure you don't, because this right here is our center stitch. And again, make sure it's big enough to slide around. Now the last one, you can go ahead, once you get to last one, you can pull this slip knot out. The last row is different, okay? Because we need these garter ridges to show here. So here's our center stitch. So this is the one we just worked, but see there are garter stitches on other sides. So we got to make sure that we leave those garter stitches, okay? So you have to be careful where you work this last bit. Okay, so this is for the third. So hang on, if I put this into the third one. Oh, I found it. Right there. There is a third one. Get in there. Oh, that is tight. There is a third one. Get in that third one. Okay. Third one. Okay, so we can do that one. Maybe this one. And maybe this one. You see which ones I'm talking about? And I kind of do the one right behind that one, even though it's right there on that one, so maybe we want to skip that one, but I don't want to do anything that I'm coming out of. I'm going to try this one, right behind that one. Looks like a tight one. So let's try, you think this one right here? And then this last one right here. Okay. I think we're good. Okay, so now we're doing, what are we doing? Okay, so we, three, okay. So that is essentially our first right side row. So we have 9. So that's our first right side row. So now this is our first wrong side row, and this is where we're gonna put our markers in, okay? So again, now for the pretty edge, this chain edge that we got going, you're going to do the same exact thing because every row is the same. Both rows, okay, right side and wrong side. You're going to slip the first one with the yarn in front. You're going to move the yarn to the back, and then you're going to knit the next two. And that is because we have 3 selvage stitches, 3 garter selvage stitches on both sides. So every single row, you're going to do that exact same thing throughout this entire pattern. Right side, wrong side, doesn't matter. But we are now on wrong side, so we're going to move our yarn to the front because we have to purl these middle 3. So we're going to purl 1, and this middle purl, remember, is our center stitch. So we got to mark her. We got to place a marker, purl, place another marker, and purl that one. Then again, yarn to the back, knit your last 3. Now that is your wrong side row. So let's start again. We're going to show a right side row. Right side row. Remember, slip, yarn to the back, knit 2. And this is closed arms. So we're going to make 1 left, knit to your marker, which is just 1. Now, this is where you need to decide if you want close spine or the open spine. So if you want the open spine, you would simply yarn over, knit your middle stitch, and yarn over again. Okay, that'll give you open spine. Open spine is just yarn overs. Okay, is that clear? If that's not clear, watch the next section that is open, and you can be walked through those parts. But this is we're doing closed spine. So again, we're going to make 1 right, slip marker, knit your center stitch, slip marker, make 1 left. And remember, if your make 1 left and rights are tight, just like when we were picking up or knitting through our garter, make sure you just do this after you do them, and they should be just fine. And we're going to do another one right here, because this can get pretty tight. Just when they're done, make sure it's going to be even tighter because I'm on bamboo, but my steel was having problems with the camera. Knit your last 3. These are so sticky with acrylic. I really don't like using bamboo with acrylic. It just is like knitting like molasses. It's terrible. Okay, so wrong side row. Are you ready? Wrong side row, slip, knit the next 2, purl to your last 3. Okay. Now I don't think I have to keep going, do I, for this? Okay, I'll do 1 more. How about that? 1 more, and then that's it. Because this is not a tutorial. Okay. Right side row. 1 more time. Slip, put the yarn in back, knit 2. Make 1 left. Knit to marker. Make 1 right. And remember, that's tight. So make sure you go in, make sure you're not splitting. Make sure you're not splitting. And pull that out and then just slide it. You're fine. There we go. Make one left. Knit to last 3. And make one right. And knit last 3. Okay, wrong side. Slip, yarn and back, knit 2. Then we're going to purl. Purl to your last 3 stitches. Knit your last 3. Okay, so that is how you do the closed version. Now, should I take you through one? Okay, I'm going to take you through one garter ridge. Okay, when you're ready to transition to the garter ridge, when you're done with whatever and you've come to your, well, at this, if you're doing Hillary, you've come to a certain weight of yarn left. So you're going to do your first row as normal. Okay. I can't believe you're making me do this. Okay. But yeah, make one right. Center stitch. Make one left. Oh, those are some tight ones. This is why I don't use acrylic. That's what I hate most about this, is that I'm using acrylic on bamboo, which is like the absolute worst. Knit to your last 3. It's the same as your right side row. It's a normal, sorry, make one right. It's your normal right side row that we've been doing a million times. Knit your last 3. Okay, so for your garter ridges, all of these rows are going to be the same. You're going to do 2 or 3 of them depending on which pattern you're doing. Again, yarn is in the front. We're going to slip to the back, knit 3, then, no, garter ridge. You're going to knit to your marker. And you have 2 things to decide here. Number 1 is, if you have made the yarn overs here, you have to decide what you're going to do. My advice is, if you plan to do what I do and make your center spine go all the way down through these, that's your first thing you have to decide. Is your center spine going to go down through your garter ridges like mine do? If yes, if you are going to do these garter ridges, what I want you to do, if you're going to put your spine through the garter ridges, you want your spine to stick out like I'm doing. You are going to purl those yarn overs you're going to purl your middle stitch, and you're going to purl the other yarn over. And the reason we do this is so we make it look just like this entire thing has been looking the whole time, because it's gorgeous, right? Looks great. If you knit these yarn overs, they're going to wrap the other way. If you knit this center stitch, it's going to turn into a purl ridge. And then if you knit this, if you knit the next yarn over, it's also going to twist a different way. So either purl all three if you want it to look like this and keep the spine, or knit all three if you want to keep it looking like the garterage. If you want to really close this up when you get here, if you don't want these holes through your garter ridge here, you can either change to the make one left and rights on your right side rows, or if you want to keep with the yarn overs, you can just knit them through the back loop, and that should close them up and keep you with the continuity of these garter ridges. So it's up to you if you want to keep the garter ridges going or you want to keep your spine open. Either way is fine. It's a complete personal choice. You could even, if you want to, like you can see here, our garter ridge goes the whole length. So if you wanted to keep the continuity, you could just get rid of that spine altogether. It's totally up to you what look you're going for, what you like. I like the spine. So I'm going to purl that mid one. And then put your yarn to the back and continue knitting. You're going to knit every single one. So, what do I have a yarn over here? Did I do a yarn? Oh my gosh, don't even look at that. I did a yarn over instead of a make one. Don't even look at that. So, all of your garter ridges are going to be the exact same way. So you need to decide what you want. If you want, I mean, this would certainly look gorgeous as full garter ridges. You would have a full garter, but that means then that you're going to have a hard time pulling down this point. And I love to have the point there. I love to have the focal point. If you don't, I mean, you can certainly still try to find your point. What I would do is I would mark it. I would mark, as I was doing the bind off, I would mark that center stitch. I mean, I would keep it, obviously you're going to keep it marked through your thing, but when I came to the bind off, I would try to mark that stitch with an interlocking or progress keeper. Mark that middle stitch in something that could be blocked, and then, I mean, that could be soaked when you soak it, and then that way you'll still have your middle. That would be a way to find the point if you wanted to do that. What I'd like to show you real quick is the bind off. Even though we're not ready to bind off here because you have 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 more ridges to make. But this is not a tutorial. I'm not going to show you, I'm not going to walk you through every single thing. I am going to walk you through the bind off because I don't know the proper name. So this is the first time we're actually going to knit, and like I said, you are going to get this bump right here. You will get a bump right here. But I promise you, no one will notice, and it's really going to help when you're blocking. Oh, that's another thing I didn't show you. I'll show you. Watch to the end. I'm going to show you some blocking secrets. So you just have this little, these 2 little loops. I haven't found a way around that yet, because if I slip if I slip into my bind off, it messes up the bind off, and then you really don't have a clear way of I mean, it doesn't matter because this end's going to look a little bit unruly anyway because you have the end coming out of it. So I don't mind the two ends not being perfect, even though I'm a perfectionist. So, okay, bind off. Ready? Okay, like I said, the bind off. I go up one needle size. So this was a size 9, 5.5. This is a size 10, 6 millimeter. And I just find it gives it a nice stretchy bind off here. It doesn't flare. It's stretchy enough for the rest of the work. It's really good. It's a really good one to block. You can go up 2 if you want to. I don't like 2. I think it's a little too much and it gives me a little too much of the flare. But if that's your thing, then go ahead and do that. So this is what I think is called the Russian bind off. We're going to knit 1. We're going to knit the second one. We're going to take our left needle and put it in front, and that sets us up to knit through the back loop. Oh my gosh. To knit through the back loop, okay? Knit another one. Left needle into the front of those stitches, knit through the back loop. Make sure that this one gets to slide. Needle in front, knit through the back loop. Knit another one. Oh my gosh, acrylic, I'm telling you. Needle in front, knit through the back loop. Okay, you got this? Needle in front, knit through the back loop. Okay. I've had it with that. But anyway, there's your thing. So yeah, that is our closed version of that. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I will get to them. Please skip to the end for the block. How I'll tell you some stuff about. So I'll give you some blocking tips for this. Okay, now we're doing the open version. We are again going to start with a slip knot. And my modified, I think it's a modified backwards loop. We're going to take your left finger and swoop. And see, this is coming off your needle, up over and under your finger, and then over the front of your yarn. So we're going to just slip that right on the needle and cinch it up, and we're going to do 2 more of those. There is a link to a video in the description box or the whatever box down below. You can, I'm very tired now and I'm going to mess up, so you can go look at that video and maybe do those a few times till you get comfortable with them. Now this stitch with the slip knot is not going to be worked. That is just there because it helps to keep this cast on from unraveling. I always have a slip knot that I don't count, and then I drop it when I come back to it, or I drop it when I go to join in the round. Okay, this never gets worked up with this. It's just there to kind of stabilize it. Okay, so we are doing the open version, and this is the garter tab cast on. So the directions say cast on 3, which we have done because we're not counting this one. Row 1 is knit 3, so we're going to knit 3. Now just pull your needle out and let that be, and turn. Just ignore it for right now. So for the even rows of the cast on, this is the trick that's going to make the nice edge on top. We're going to slip the first stitch, and you always slip it as you come to it. So since our yarn is in front, we're going to slip it with the yarn in front. We're going to move the yarn to the back, and then we're going to knit the last two. Okay? Row 3, odd number, knit all 3. Knit row 4, odd even number, we're going to slip the first stitch. Slip it as you find it. Move the yarn to the back so we can knit the next two. Row 5, knit 3. And row 6, slip the first one, yarn to the back, knit the next two. Okay, now we are doing the open, which is going to give us these eyelets here. So we're working on these two eyelets right here. Okay, so what we're going to do first is I'm going to stretch this out a little bit just to give it some tugs so you can see that there are clearly, let's pull this, we don't need that anymore. You can clearly see 1, 2, 3, there are 3 ridges. And I want to show you, here's your regular knit row. This is what the row of your shawl looks like if you just knit it. But by slipping those first stitches, we get this nice chain. So this is what it would look like normally, and I don't like that. So anyway, much like the closed one, if you watch the closed one, it's similar, but it's different because the first stitch, the first ridge and the last ridge, we're not going to work into at all because we're going to yarn over. So this middle one, we see this stitch, the center stitch, and then we're going to move up and we're going to catch that stitch right on top. Here's our center stitch. Okay. Then you're going to do another yarn over, and we're going to skip that one, and we're going to look back here, and we're going to look for 3 to pick up from our cast on edge. But remember, just like before, we want to keep this garter edge. We want to keep them here. So here's the first, here's your vertical bar and the one next to it, and this one here. We want to keep these, so we don't want to work into these at all. So we want to come behind, and I know this stitch right here is going to be my last stitch because it comes from this one that is kind of flimsy. So we gotta somehow, maybe that'll be my second one. And can this be my first? I don't know if I'm working out of that one. I'm gonna work right into this. Just maybe kind of find 3 that you think. Now don't lose your yarn over. You got a yarn over here. So don't lose that yarn over when you go into this. And make sure again that these all slide. So I did that one. I want to try this one. Let's try this one. And then our last one, which is right here. That one's pretty easy to see. Okay. And everything's sliding. We got 3. 1, 2, 3. Our yarn over, our center stitch, our yarn over, and our last 3. Okay. So this is our first right side row. So now we're doing our first wrong side row. And every single row now, you're going to slip the first stitch, and it's going to be the same way every time, whether you're on a wrong side row or a right side row. Now, because this yarn, our first and last stitches, first three and last three are what we call selvage stitches. This is the edge of our pretty shawl. That's how we get this pretty edge. So they're always going to be the same because they're garter. They're worked in garter. They're the same on either side. So every row, you are always going to come to this with the yarn in front. And you are always going to slip purlwise. And then you are always going to put the yarn to the back. Because you have to knit the next three, remember? Because these are 3 selvage. That is going to be the same every single row, so get into the habit of doing that. Now, because we've got the open arms up here, our first increase here after that selvage is going to be a yarn over. So we're going to yarn over. No, we're not, because this is a wrong side row. Never mind, I didn't say that. You're going to move your yarn to the back because we're going to purl these 3. We're going to purl 1, and then this stitch is our center stitch, so we're going to place a marker. And then we're going to purl the center stitch, and then we're going to place another marker. And then we're going to purl, well, what is the yarn over? And then we're going to put our yarn to the back, and we're going to knit the last 3, because that's our selvage. Okay, now we're on our right side row, and that means we want to keep these eyelets, right? So we're going to, our new beginning is slip, put the yarn in the back, knit 2. That's going to happen every row. Now we're going to yarn over. We are going to knit to the marker, which is 1 stitch. Now we have to decide if we want the open eyelet or do you want the closed spine. So what spine do you want here? I'm going to do this spine. If you want to do this spine, what you would do here is you would make one right here. Make one right, slip your marker, knit this middle one, slip the marker, and then make one left. Okay? If you want to, I would go back and watch this one and see how we do the spine. How we work the spine is how you're going to work. It's the same thing. You're going to work, make one right, make one left. Okay? Make one right, knit center stitch, and make one left. And then on your wrong sides, you're just going to purl just like normal. Okay? But we're doing the open one, so we're going to yarn over. We're going to slip the stitch. We're going to, slip the marker. We're going to knit the middle, the center stitch, slip marker, another yarn over, knit to the last 3, which is 1 stitch, yarn over again, and knit the last 3. So this is going to give us 4 eyelets each time, one on both edges, and then 1 on each side of the spine. Okay? So your wrong side row, slip with the yarn in front, knit 2. We're going to purl every stitch. To the last 3, and then we're going to move the yarn to the back and knit those ones. Okay, and we'll show you another right side row. Right side row. Remember, slip, yarn in front, move yarn to back, knit 2, yarn over. knit to marker. Yarn over, slip marker, knit center stitch, slip marker, yarn over, knit to last 3, yarn over, knit last 3. Super easy. Okay. Wrong side row. Slip, yarn to back, knit 2, yarn to front, knit to last 3. Purl to last 3. Oh my god, I'm so tired. Get that slip over there. There you go. Yarn to back, knit last 3. Okay. Do one more. Whoops, I dropped one. Yarn over, slip, knit, slip, yarn over, knit to your last 3. Yarn over and knit last 3. Okay, last wrong side row. And you're going to purl to the last 3. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Oh my gosh. Whoops. Oh my god. Now this way. Okay. When I get tired is when I start making sloppy mistakes. So purl to your last 3. Okay, this video is going to be so long. And yarn to the back, knit your 3. Okay. Now, it's time for your garter ridges. So as I'm working this last right side row, there are some things you have to decide when you get to, first you're going to work this row as normal. But there's some things you're going to have to decide when you get to your, actually there are some things you decide before you get to this row, but I'm going to do this row anyway and then I'm going to talk to you about it. You have to decide what you're going to do with your middle stitch. If you want your center stitch to come all the way down like I do, or if you want to have it in the garter pattern. Okay, because you can do either. There's no right or wrong way, it's whatever you want to do. But you're going to have to make a decision. So, before we make a decision, I want to show you a couple things. Okay. So, you can do two things. You can either, because see how our garter ridge is right here, and you could have it closed like this if you wanted to. You don't have to have these eyelets going through the garter if you want to close them off at the garter. There are two ways you can do that, but I'm trying to let you see what you can do here. So if you want this garter to go edge to edge, which is totally valid, you could have this go edge to edge. And also, whether or not you want this here, you can also have it go edge to edge. You can have this whole thing garter. You can have all of it garter. Okay? If you want to do that, here's what you need to do. On the right side, when you start your garter ridges, so you've come to your weight for let's say we're working on Hillary or whatever. You've come to your weight, or you're at the end of whatever it is. At this, we might be at the end of Michelle. So you have to decide if you want these eyelets to go all the way down, if you want your spine to go all the way down. So what I would do is I would close these. So I would work the right side rows of this as we work the closed. So that would be make one lefts and make one rights for your right side rows. Similarly, if you've already gotten there and you've forgotten, or maybe you don't like make one rights or lefts and you want to do yarn overs. When you come to these yarn overs on the wrong side, you can work them through the back loop, and that will close it off. I don't know if it will be as invisible as the make one left and rights are in here, because you really can't tell where they are. But if you could, I certainly, sometimes if I make a yarn over and I didn't mean to, on the wrong side, I will just work it through the back loop and it disappears. So you can also, what else I'm going to tell you here, when you come to here, if you want to keep your spine going, what I recommend, because you're going to purl this on the wrong side, I want you to also purl the yarn overs next to it, because that will keep these twists all the same. If you knit into these, they're going to twist the opposite way, and it might not make a difference, but it also might. So if you're going to, whatever you're going to do with this middle stitch, I want you to do to the two yarn overs next to it. So if you're going to knit into this middle one, then knit these two. If you're going to purl into this middle one, purl these two. Okay? So there's a few different ways you can go with that. If you're having trouble, leave a comment and I will explain to you what to do. So you have to decide what you want to do here. I always thought for Carrie, it would be cool to have her closed for the stockinette portions, open on both sides for that net portion, and then closed all the way for the garter ridge portion, because then you get all three in the same shawl, and I thought that might look nice. Too bad I have already started her, otherwise I probably would have thought of that. But I mean, these you can do. In the patterns, I'm trying to do it in easiest way that I think for you to do. But that's why I'm making this video, so I can show you all the different ways and you can pick which one you want to do. So here we are. First garter ridge, guys. Now all the garter ridges are done the exact same way. So whether you do one, well, I don't know why you'd only do one. You can do 2 for Ruth or 3 for everybody else. If you want to do 2 for everybody else, that's also valid. Like I said before, if you get to the end of your weight and you're a little bit iffy on if you can do the bind off and a third garter ridge, you can leave that third garter ridge off if you are not feeling particularly brave about it, okay? Especially if you're not used to working with your scale and you don't trust it, perfectly fine. But I'm going to show you how I'm only going to show you one garter ridge. They're all done the same. Okay, we're going to slip as before. Slip first one, knit the next two. Oh my god, everything's just falling off my needles today. Knit two, then knit to your marker. No, that's wrong, because you guys, I purl this one. If we're going to keep it, if we're going to keep going with it, I purl it so that they're all twisted the right way. Remember how I said earlier that it's going to twist the wrong way? So if you're also going to keep the ones up here, you have to purl that one. I mean, I guess you don't have to. It might look okay. I don't know. Try it and see. See which way you like it. But I always purl that one. So remember, we're coming here and we got to decide what we're going to do. I'm purling all three. Okay. Then go back to knit. But I am curious what it would look like if you had a complete garter ridge. I think my next carry, the one I want to do with that little, that's all black with a little bit of rainbow, I think that's the one I'm going to do it on. So here. Oh, and maybe the Slytherin one I wanted to. Okay, then knit your last three. Then you're all done. You're all... There's your knit ridge. Which, my knit ridge is, which one is this? Oh, it's right here. So that's how you get this, guys. Okay, so then you would do three or two more, whichever you want to do. I'm going to show you a little bit of the bind off, and then I'm going to show you a little bit of blocking these, and then we're going to be done, okay, because I'm so tired. So, like I said, this was done with a 5.5 with a size 9. I like to go up one size for the bind off. So this is a size 10, 6mm. You do not slip the first stitch of your bind off because it's going to mess up your bind off. And you're going to have a little bit of a thing there, but don't worry about it. It'll be easier when you're blocking. So we're going to knit 1. We're going to knit 2. We're going to take our left needle and put it into the front of those two. And see, now we're set up to knit through the back loop. So just go ahead and knit through the back loop. Knit a second one. Again, 2 needles, or 2 stitches, look. Left needle through both. Knit through the back loop. Again, knit 1. You got 2 on your needle. Put your left needle through them both. Knit through the back loop. And it's kind of tight, so make sure you got some room there. And like I said, if you want to go up an extra size, that's totally fine too. If you want to stretch your more flare in the edge of your shawl, go ahead and go up another size if you want. I don't recommend staying the same because it's not as stretchy. I think one size is perfect for me and my tension, but your tension might need something else. So if you need to go up 2, go ahead. Knit 1, turn over, here we go. Okay, so I think we've got this, right? I think this is called the Russian bind off, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so good job. Just keep going till you're done. What I'd like to show you is some blocking tips, how I block these, because this is going to give you a great edge to block. Now, if you want to block your center stitch, what I want you to do is follow down your center stitch till you get to that what your center stitch is going to be. And I like to mark that because when I do a bind off, when I do blocking, my center stitch gets a pin. This is going to get a pin in it, but I block with wires, so I need to make sure that I don't put this stitch through a wire. So that one would be marked, so I know to put a pin in it. So when you're blocking using wires, I'm going to start with the bind off to show you, because it's real easy. Your bind off has these holes in it, so you're just going to go right under these two. I'm pretending this is a blocking wire. It's thick for a blocking wire, but you're going to go right under this too. And you're going to go right under the next two. And then you're going to go under the next two. And under the next two. And then under the next two. Under the next two. Of course, this is after you've soaked it and everything and you're ready to go. Okay? So this is how it's going to come out on your blocking wire, like this. And it's going to block beautifully, so don't worry about it. Now I want to show you the top, because the top is quite similar. Because again, you've got these two. So just go through. It's the same thing. Go through those two. Go through those two. Go through these two. Go through those two. Now, when I go to my top, when I hit this middle part, I use a, what are they called? It's a pin, a block, or it's a block, oh my god, what are they called? They're in a purple box. What are they called, guys? Blocking something. Knitter's Pride knit blockers. These, you know, I'm looking at. Okay. They come in 2 sizes. Okay. You know what I'm talking about? So I take one of the small ones and I put it right here in the top. So that's how I get your good top. And then the rest is going to be, like I put my blocking wire over that one so they overlap, but I don't actually put them in there. I put the knit blockers right in those holes. And then, so when you've got it down here, you're going to have one pin here, or the pin blocker here. Now what I also do is, if you use those blocking mats, that they interlocked, right? So you have a grid on it already. You have a 90-degree thing. So I do that with my 90-degree. I put this pin right in the thing, and then I pull this along one side of the perforated edge and this alongside the perforated edge, and I make sure that they are equal. So you're going to start here and go up. I go up half a side because I can only get a wire into half of this, so I do half of this one wire, half of it another wire, half one wire, half another wire. This one can usually get one wire, one for each touch. So you're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2. And that's how I block these, all of them. Every triangle gets blocked that way. Even the Garter ones that we'll show you next time. I might have to do a supplement for those, I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm exhausted and that was really long, and I hope that was helpful. And whichever way you decide to do it, however you decide to hybrid it, I hope you're a little bit closer to designing your own shawl. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, because if you have the question, I'm sure someone else has the question, and then we can have all the questions and answers in the same place for everybody. Anyway, I hope you're having fun, or I hope you will have fun with, I think Hillary will be ready, and then everyone else will be coming out. So this will give you some time to plan, and you certainly can use these on any other top-down shawl you're working. This slipped edge can be used on other shawls, but if you don't have that 3-row garter on both sides, it might get a little tricky. So if you want to email me, I could probably help you get that nice edge, because that's my favorite part. Anyway, I hope it's helpful. I will see you guys real soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.